Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I have to admit that I was wrong. When Tapu Koko released with its signature move Nature's Madness a couple weeks back, I reviewed it and thought it was improved, but didn't think it would see a lot of open Ultra League play. However, this past week, I've heard a lot of people who are frequent leaderboard trainers say they were having a ton of success with Tapu Koko. So I revisited it, and to my surprise, I had some very nice results. The meta has shifted, there's a lot of water types, dragons, and Registeel, and Tapu Koko can do well versus all of them. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. Nightmare lead in the first match, Virizion versus Shadow Charizard. I save switch into my Ampharos. Opponent is going to respond with a Guzzlord. So far, the opponent is extremely weak to Tapu Koko, but unfortunately, I have not managed to get either one of those Pokemon aligned to the Tapu. I send in my Ampharos. Opponent shields the Focus Blast, and they're going to be firing off a last-second Dragon Claw to avoid me potentially making it to yet another Focus Blast. They have a massive amount of energy on the shiny Guzzlord, but that's very okay. My goal here is just to absorb energy, look to overfarm with the Virizion, and then hopefully let Tapu Koko sweep in the endgame. I overfarm to the back-to-back charge attacks, and I will be firing off the Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword is going to pick up the knockout. In comes the Charizard. I send in the Tapu Koko, and my opponent is not switching out. This gives me hope. I shield up the Tapu Koko as they full send the Blast Burn. In the back is Poliwrath. Opponent triple weak to the Tapu Koko. Nature's Madness gets the shield, and it comes with a guaranteed defense drop. Unfortunately, the game is still having that bug where the text for status effects doesn't always show, but it does have a guaranteed defense drop. I can overfarm. This Nature's Madness will easily KO, and I'm only 1 volt switch off of the Thunderbolt. In comes the Charizard, and this will be massive overkill as Tapu Koko has a monster attack stat, taking down the Charizard and securing the win. Moving to the next match, leading Virizion into Gengar. Absolutely awful lead. I'm going to save switch into the Shadow Ampharos. Opponent going to stay in here with the Gengar and go for a Shadow Punch. Very okay with me. I'm going to choose to let this through and continue to farm. Opponent sends in Cobalion, hoping to try and catch an undertap Brutal Swing, but I'm able to make it to the Focus Blast. Focus Blast grabs a shield from my opponent. I continue to farm with the Ampharos. Ampharos! Oh, they may have been able to farm down there. I don't think I was making it to the Focus Blast, but they ended up throwing energy. Regardless, I'm still okay with how this turned out as I was able to force a shield. And even if they did farm down, I'm just going to be using Virizion as a massive damage sponge in this matchup. I farm up, and I do win charge attack priority with my Virizion. Virizion and Cobalion, it comes down to IVs as they do have identical base stats. And I do run a slightly attack weight Virizion so I can win CMP in the mirror. They send in the Gengar. I send in the Tapu Koko. It's a Blastoise in the back, and I'm not baiting. I'm going straight for the Thunderbolt. It looks like that was a CMP tie here. The Thunderbolt picks up the KO. XL Blastoise is a monstrously bulky Pokemon, but it doesn't look like it when it gets hit with a Thunderbolt from Tapu Koko. And now I can just go straight for Nature's Madness. It gets the guaranteed defense drop. You can shield the damage, but you can't shield the defense drop. Tapu Koko gets the farm down, and we take the win. Moving to the next match, leading Virizion into Empoleon. Okay, picking up a pretty okay lead, but Empoleon can actually fight back way better than it ever could thanks to Steel Wing. I will be firing off the Sacred Sword. That's going to connect. I wait, try and go for the Drill Peck catch, but the opponent shows great patience. They hold on to their energy. They choose to send in a Shadow Dragonite, which is a surprise to me, as this is not an amazing response to a Shadow Ampharos. This is definitely feeling like it could potentially be Empoleon Double Dragon, and if that's the case, then if I just saved, oh no, I really wanted the Brutal Swing there, but the one Dragon Breath snipes, so I send in Tapu Koko, and Tapu Koko gets the farm down. What I was saying is, if it is Empoleon Double Dragon, and they send back in the Empoleon, then they're triple weak to the Tapu Koko. I commit the shield on the Hydro Cannon. In the back, it's Annihilate. They know they're just getting Nature's Madness to death, so they immediately resign the match. Moving to the next match, leading Virizion into Shadow Feraligatr. Feraligatr will immediately be met with the Leaf Blade. Virizion has a big pacing advantage. The Leaf Blade will connect. I save switch into the Ampharos. Opponent is going to respond with a Virizion. Virizion going to be firing off a Leaf Blade here. Leaf Blade will connect and deal some solid damage. I go for the Focus Blast, throwing as soon as I get it, because if I overfarmed, they could have gone for another Leaf Blade and forced a shield. I'm able to get this Virizion extremely low. Shadow Ampharos is just an absolute menace on the safe switch. I love how flexible it is. I can send in my own Virizion. My opponent, I believe they switched out short of an Ice Beam. They send in the Feraligatr. This will be the Ice Beam, so I am going to be shielding it up. Opponent is going to bait. I'm going to throw 2 and throw before they make it to the Ice Beam, but they end up just going for the Hydro, and it ends up being a really terrible CMP tie by me. Oh, that's extremely unfortunate. At this point, I kind of just have to hope that Tapu Koko can do well in the back. They shield, they get sniped, it's Registeel in the back. Now this matchup doesn't look amazing on paper, you're only hitting for neutral damage, but due to this unique Electric Fairy typing, the Tapu Koko is a complete wall to energy from Reggie. Zap Cannon, Focus Blast, it's not going to matter. Granted, Tapu Koko is still very, very glassy, so that's still going to do a lot of resisted damage, but still, you are able to tank a hit. And I'm just going to go for Nature's Madness after Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness is resisted, but their defense is now 2 stages debuffed. They're going to go for the Zap Cannon. I'm going to go for yet another Nature's Madness. Opponent is going to be forced to commit the shield. I send in the Virizion. They send in the Feraligatr to reset the debuff. And at this point, I really just want to win the game with Tapu Koko, so I'm going to commit to a farm down to force them to throw energy, and then I can bring in the boy, the Tapu Koko, to Volt Switch down and take the win. So we're now 4-0 in the set, but we see a very tough lead. Virizion into Tentacruel. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start with, go for a Leaf Blade to get a little bit of chip damage. This team is ABA weak to poison, so I want some chip damage, and then I can send in the Ampharos. Opponent will stay in to go for a Scald. Scald will do quite a lot of damage. I'm going to let this through. The Scald connects. They're not going to send in Greedent. Greedent overfarms and lets me make it to a Focus Blast. My Focus Blasts have been shielded so far, but not today. Oh my goodness. However, my happiness is short-lived as they send in Trevenant, and with the Ampharos basically getting KO'd here, Trevenant is a bit of a core breaker for this team, so I'm able to get rid of the Greedent, but now I'm in a difficult situation. Trevenant is going to full send the Shadow Ball. That's a massive shield by the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko going to go for the Nature's Madness. This will hit for neutral damage onto the Trevenant. Let's see this damage. That gets the Trevenant very low. Trevenant firing off another move. I think I have to commit the shield here. It is going to be the Seed Bomb bait, and that lets them make another one. Oh, this is really bad. This is really bad. I have a guaranteed win con here, and that's if I switched instantly. I had a guaranteed win con where I could make it to double Leaf Blade before they made it to a Blizzard, but in the moment, I was thinking, you know what? If I debuff them, a Leaf Blade will KO, but XL Tentacruel is too bulky, and I get outpaced by one singular turn. If I banked the energy and switched, I believe I could have made 2 Leaf Blades before they made the Blizzard, and then potentially won the game, but unfortunately, I did not, so I end up losing. Tough lead in the next match, Virizion versus Annihilate. Annihilate is a bit of an uncomfortable Pokemon to see on the lead, but Leaf Blade will definitely add up, and now I can send in the Ampharos. Opponent ends up firing off, it can't be a Shadow Ball, they're short here, it's just an Ice Punch, and they give me a Volt Switch for free. They try for a Brutal Swing Catch onto the Registeel, but I'm able to hold on to my energy and full send the Focus Blast. We had a Focus Blast land last game, but not this one. The opponent is going to commit the shield on the Registeel. That's a bit unfortunate, but I have a big energy head start. I don't pace nearly as fast as the Registeel, but with how much energy head start I have, I can shield, go for another Focus Blast, and force a shield from the opponent. Switch clock is coming up. As you see there, I ended up waiting a couple turns to see if my clock would be up so I could switch, but unfortunately, I'm not able to do so. I send in the Virizion. Virizion will overfarm slightly and go for a Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword does not knock out here. Opponent will be able to withstand this damage and make it to a Focus Blast, but honestly, that's pretty okay for me. His Focus Blast is definitely survivable. Now the question will be, can I commit to the farm down here? The answer is yes, leaving with a ton of energy to potentially threaten the Annihilate. In comes the Annihilate. Annihilate is going to be met with the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to get them low. The switch into the Tapu Koko and the Snipe. And I don't know what they had in the bag, but it did not want to see Tapu Koko. And we take the win. Picking up an interesting lead in the next match, Virizion versus the Poliwrath. This is a pretty good matchup for the Virizion on paper, but if Poliwrath starts committing shields early, this can definitely get uncomfortable. The opponent, very nice charge attack timing as they're going to be firing off the Icy Wind. I decide to let that through. I'm going to go for a Leaf Blade. Even though it is debuffed, this will still do some solid chip damage, and then I can look to switch into the Ampharos. Ampharos, these Volt Switches will add up. Opponent gives me a Volt Switch for free, which is very, very nice. The Icy Wind, okay, they send in their own Ampharos, and I'm the 0-15-15, so I'm going to lose charge attack priority. They're going for the Brutal Swing, and that's the 0-15-15 difference right there. Barely able to hang on. Focus Blast connects. Massive damage onto the Ampharos. I send in the Tapu Koko. I'm going to get the farm down. Let's see what they have in the back. Oh no, a Shadow Skuntank. I'm ABA weak to poison, and these Shadow Poison Jabs are tearing me to shreds. Nature's Madness is going to get the shield. I send in Virizion, go for the Sacred Sword, but it's caught. Unfortunately, I could only throw there. I decide to go for the Undercharge because I do want energy on the Koko. Maybe there's a chance. If I can make it to the Nature's Madness, I get close, but just not close enough. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. Great lead in the next match. Virizion into the Shadow Feraligatr. And Shadow Feraligatr, it can survive a Leaf Blade, but not very comfortably. I go for the Leaf Blade. Opponent is going to let that through. I switch into the Ampharos. Opponent now going to send in a Giratina. Very okay by me. I should be able to soft lose the Zero Shield here. The opponent will have to throw multiple charge attacks to get rid of the Ampharos, and then I could potentially use this as an opportunity to get a very nice double resisted double kick farm down with the Virizion. Brutal Swing number 2 connects into the Giratina, getting the Giratina low, but Giratina able to withstand that damage. Giratina will go for the Dragon Claw. This is not going to be enough to KO, but one Shadow Claw after will. And this is a perfect range for Virizion to get a massive double resisted double kick farm down. I could have sent in the Tapu Koko, but I wouldn't get as much energy as getting all these double kicks on the Virizion. Opponent sends in Feraligatr. They're throwing their energy right away. I'm going to commit the shield as it is going to be the Ice Beam. What do they have in back? They have a Guzzlord. No, they top left. Oh, they were going to be in shambles when they saw the Koko, but they top left before they can even see it. Terrible lead in the next match. Virizion into Shadow Dragonite. I'm going to save switch into the Shadow Ampharos, and I decide to commit a shield here. Realistically, I don't have to shield as the Ampharos. Opponent is going to send in an XL Lantern. What is this doing here? Brutal Swing is going to connect. I'm going to look to overfarm with the Ampharos. Surf is not going to be enough to knock out here. I do have a very high rank Shadow Ampharos. Oh, can I actually make this? The Ampharos, again, the 0-15-15 difference on 1 HP makes the Focus Blast. Goodbye to the fish. And now I can put Tapu Koko on the Dragonite. Tapu Koko farming up energy. Dragonite firing off a charge attack. This is very okay. Tapu Koko will be hit with the superpower. In the back, they have Jellicent. And I'm going for the Nature's Madness. Nature's Madness bait does get the shield, and of course that guaranteed defense drop. And now I can send in the Virizion. Virizion able to tank a Shadow Ball. Ice Beam has basically stopped being used ever since Surf was introduced, so you're very safe as the Virizion to no shield. The Leaf Blade will connect. That does so much damage. And I'm going to farm up and play to the CMP tie. That Virizion is able to win. Leaf Blade picks up the KO. In comes the Shadow Dragonite. Shadow Dragonite realizes there's no farming down the Virizion, and they concede the match. Next game, same leads. Virizion into Shadow Dragonite. Okay. I'm going to save switch into the Shadow Ampharos. Opponent is going to respond with the Virizion. Virizion farming up a lot of energy, and they will fire off the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade, not going to be a problem. I'm able to withstand the damage, and again, I'll go for the Focus Blast before they can make Leaf Blade number 2. The Focus Blast connects, dealing massive damage to the Virizion. Virizion firing off a last-second charge attack, and I decide to commit the shield. I want to play for switch. I go for the Brutal Swing. I believe this is a CMP tie. Let's see this. The Brutal Swing gets the shield, and it KOs through the shield because even a shielded move does 1 HP of damage. I send in the Tapu Koko, and suddenly my game is lagging. You've got to be kidding me. Please, no. The spinning ball of death in the top left. The superpower connects. I'm frantically trying to go for the move. It doesn't let me go for the move. I'm forced to shield in a winning matchup as they go for the superpower. They send in Tentacruel, and this looked like it could have been a winnable game if the game was not lagging, but unfortunately, with the lag, I just end up taking way too much damage on the Tapu Koko. I'm unable to KO or force a shield from the Dragonite, and now I just lose to the Tentacruel. So a very unfortunate battle there, as the Blizzard will connect, and I'm just going to resign the match. I felt like I had a shot in that one, but the game lagging definitely did not let that happen. Moving into the final match, we see a good lead Virizion into Steelix. I farm up 3 double kicks and I wait a turn to make sure that they don't catch the Sacred Sword. Farming up, expecting the Psychic Fangs, it's super effective, but I can't survive it. Opponent actually running Breaking Swipe and they get the attack drop. There, the text actually worked. It actually showed the attack drop, which is nice because the text hasn't really been working all that much lately. They're going to be firing off another move. Very okay with letting this through, as it is going to be another Breaking Swipe. They're going to save switch into a Poliwrath, and Poliwrath is going to be hit with the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to connect. In comes the Tapu Koko. I'm looking to shield once, farm all the way down. Opponent did not want to see that whatsoever, and they resign the match. All in all, I do think that I owe Tapu Koko a little bit of an apology, to be honest. I really don't think that I saw its true potential. Like, it is really, really frail, and that's part of what really made me think that it wasn't going to see a lot of Open Ultra League play. But if it's able to hide behind shields, this thing can be extremely scary, and those Nature's Madness debuffs, continually debuffing the opponent's defense, can really help it survive in those shielded situations where normally Glassy Pokemon could not do as well. So, while it's definitely not the easiest Pokemon to use, I do think that it is quite a bit better than I gave it credit for, and as we've seen, people are having some very nice results with it at high elo. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated, so thank you guys oh so very much, and until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.